Everyone, I'm back with the first character review. So obviously you see the background, still working on moving that box right there, full of cards for card games, and it's a card game that begins with P-O-K-E, and it is not poker. There's some other card games in there, not just that. I don't have that many cards for that, but anyways, today we're going to talk about Captain America. I figure he's a good character to start with because he is a interesting character within the scope of Marvel Strike Force. He's had a really interesting history, and I actually kind of have something to provide for that because I have been here for most of his history, and I think I was actually here for the more interesting part of his history. So we'll delve into that a little later in today's episode. Real quick, I want to show you his costumes just to document. So he has these classic costumes. I will say I don't care for these. I think these look hideous. I mean, they're funny, I guess, but I much prefer his classic look. What we're going to cover this video is you will see that he has a relatively simple kit, but it does not read simple. So we'll talk about that once I go into specific abilities. He has a basic attack right here where he just kind of generically attacks people. We have a taunt right here, and then we have a chaining attack that can remove positive effects. Again, we'll delve into these deeper. And then the passive is all about blocking. Captain America is a tank, and he really relies on this blocking in order for him to have a high amount of survivability. So you'll see that. We'll delve into that passive, how exactly that works. I think it is a really good passive conceptually, but in gameplay, like it reads a little hard, I think, because of the evolution to Captain America's kit. Now right here I have the original Captain America team. This is back when Marvel Strike Force first launched 6 years ago. I was here for this. I was really into the game at this time, and this was kind of the meta way back then. You had Quake that slowed people, Black Widow sped up your team, Yondu would steal effects and kind of throw some minions out on the field to distract, and his AoE wasn't too bad back then. Really, Crossbones was the heavy hitter of the team. You just tried to stall until he could use his explosion ability, and generally that was your win condition. And then Captain America was there to just pull a couple of hits toward him, again trying to keep Crossbones safe, because Crossbones has some taunts, but you wanted Crossbones to live for his explosion attack. So this was the original team. Not a lot of artificial synergy here, there's none. You don't share a lot of traits, but in terms of gameplay, these were the 5 best characters that got grouped together. So I think that's a really interesting team. Kind of takes back to the day before they really started to lock people into specific teams. Next, we had Captain America get a bit of a rework. Interestingly, these were Wave 1 Avengers, so you had to pick who to cut. There were 6 of them. I think it depended on the situation. I think generally this would be considered the better 5 group back in the day. If it was War Defense, Thor's probably with the Asgardians, so you'd put Hawkeye with this team. But Wave 1 got a slight rework to be a okay starting team. I know they were a recommendation for a long time. And then they're also a little bit of a war team. I don't really like this tag because the whole idea of the Wave 1 Avengers, Captain America only likes these 5 guys, I don't know. I'm not sure what's up with that. Really, I do not like this tag. I think this team is good. I think this team should be even better, because a lot of people come into this game and these are the iconic characters, and theoretically it is good that they all play together on a team, but they're just so out of date. I wouldn't recommend building this team anymore, at least with this mindset. Captain America is still relevant for other reasons, but this Wave 1 Avengers team I would not use in the modern day. So he had that afterwards. This was kind of his first, I'd say, official team. He had some shield usage too, but not really. Okay, so I was not here for the next phase of Captain America's reworks. So what happened next is he actually joined a raid team. So we'll kind of skip around here. And they had the rebirth tag, which is kind of weird. I guess they're people who were reborn. I don't know. It's a weird tag. This was the bio raid team. It makes a lot of sense. Captain America works with Sharon Carter. It makes a decent amount of sense he works with Winter Soldier. Age of Venom, I like Age of Venom. It just doesn't really make sense that he's there. And then US Agent, kinda, I guess, although US Agent just isn't that good. So this team used to be the BioRaid team until the Hive Mind team came out. They've replaced them, and I believe this team actually replaced the original Symbiotes team. So there's been a lot of history with the BioRaid, and Captain America spent some time in there. So you're gonna see some remnants of this raid and this Rebirth kit. Again, this team also pretty much irrelevant. I would not use Age of Venom, Winter Soldier, or US Agent, although we are going to keep Sharon Carter. So if we skip to modern day now, very modern day, just a couple of months ago, he is now a part of the Out of Time team. So again, another weird tag, but this is now a war team. So he's with Cosmic Ghost Rider, Starbrand, and Black Knight, and they're a very competent war team. I think it mostly comes from Black Knight. I mean, Black Knight's just really good. I think generally people are pretty lukewarm on Cosmic Ghost Rider and Starbrand, and then Captain America and Sharon Carter are just kind of there to take hits for the team, as they used to be back in the day with the original Avengers team. They're just kind of doing what they do best, protecting the more important characters. So okay, we spent some time in game. I showed you the history of Captain America. Let's really dive into this kit. We're going to spend a lot of time with the passive right here. I wanted to include the entire kit on here. I think it's important to document what exactly Captain America does, like word for word. This is the max level skills, and I think it's really, this looks like a lot. I mean, look at this. This is wordy. This is difficult to follow. You can see the entire history of Captain America right here. We see the Wave 1 Avenger buffs right here, so he gives some buffs to those people. Then we can see they added some Rebirth ones right here, and then you can see over here there's some Out of Time buffs. But in War, he only gives the health to the Wave 1 Avengers. He doesn't give that to the Out of Time, but he does get the extra block chance for Avengers Rebirth and Out of Time allies. So this is extremely complicated to read through, because there is essentially 3 teams that Captain America has been very relevant to, and they just kind of keep throwing in these tags here, and he has a few different ways he supports the team, but they only selected like 2 out of 3 for each of the teams that he's ever been on. So it's like, it's weird that in wars and in raids he gets an additional max health, but like, what else is there besides war and raids? Like Cosmic Crucible, a Blitz? Why isn't this just default? It's like war and raids, like what's there left that's really important? It seems like an unnecessary amount of text on the character. And I'm not even a fan of this idea of the plus 20% max health. I get the idea that they want these stats to be hidden behind the kit, so when you level up the skill, it's like, oh, my health went up. But I think it just makes it really difficult to analyze these characters, because the health numbers are artificial, because you have to account for the fact of their numbers get bumped up if they're working with certain teams, and that doesn't necessarily factor into their base numbers. And it's really confusing. It's like, well, this character would have this stats if they're working on their own, but with the team, they would then have this separate set of stats. So it's very confusing when they have these stats that get added in. The most important thing from this passive, I'll summarize this for you. Really, the most important thing is he gains taunt right here. If a Rebirth or Out of Time ally drops below 50% health, he clears all negative effects from himself, and then he gains taunt. So he'll take one for the team if your team's struggling. Really, what I think is coolest about Captain America is he gains 25% block chance plus 20% for each Avenger, Rebirth, or Out of Time ally. So that is a massive block chance. That comes out to be over 100%. And then the block amount, you can see he gets an additional 30% in war. So he blocks a lot, and then he'll block for a lot. So Captain America, that's how he survives. He's very difficult to kill with these blocking, and I think it's very thematic for Captain America. So in terms of the premise for the passive, I really do enjoy this premise, but unfortunately I think it is just, it's hard to read. I mean, imagine being a new player and coming, like I explained the fact that he had those 3 teams to you guys, but imagine like you're just some random guy like logging into this game and you see this passive and you have to interpret it from there. I just think it's like why Wave 1 Avenger, Rebirth, or Out of Time? Like, why are these 3 teams specifically mentioned? Oh, here we have this is a classic Captain America picture here. His designing game, I kind of like it, but it does remind me of like, this is like an iconic picture for being like bad, like the proportions are off and stuff like that, and it kind of gives that energy to me, Captain America in game. It's like they use this as the inspiration for him a little bit. I made a specific slide for this text bloat because it is going to be a problem we'll see again in future kits. So I'm going to copy and paste this slide into future reviews, because this is a consistent problem in Marvel Strike Force. I think a lot of characters' kits are much simpler than they appear to be. And a lot of games have like a simpler version and then a complicated version you can read, where it's just like a brief summary and then you can say, oh, like give me all the numbers and the detailed stats. I think Marvel Strike Force desperately needs something like that, because it's just horrendous. Looking at Captain America's passive, it's long, it's difficult to determine who gets what buffs, the keywords. I mean, you tell somebody new Out of Time, oh, Captain America works with Out of Time and Rebirth. Who is that? That doesn't make sense. And it just really, essentially what he's doing is he's blocking for his team. That's what matters about Captain America, but that is like hidden within like 10 lines of text. So I really do not like text bloat. We're going to come into that many, many more times. Basic attack, relatively standard stuff right here. He's applying offense down, he's gaining defense up. It's good. It's a nice basic attack. I like that he gains defense up, again, helping with that survivability, combining it with those blocks. He is extremely tanky. Captain America's always been super tanky for me. I really do love him for that. This is special. This is when he is providing taunt to himself, and he does clear some negative effects, but he only clears negative effects from Rebirth and Out of Time allies. So it's only himself. He's kind of selfish like that, which is weird. Gain taunt for 2 turns, and then apply defense up and immunity to all allies. So he'll only clear the negative effects for Rebirth and Out of Time, but he will give defense up and immunity for all of his allies. And then he'll grant ability energy to 1 to 2 random Avenger allies. This feels really out of date. This feels like when the game first launched. We have Spider Robot, who's throwing out energy as if they're in a parade, and the energy is candy. Meanwhile, Captain America has this really confusing grant 1 ability energy to 1 to 2 Avenger allies, and then grant 1 ability energy to 1 to 3 random allies. Like, what is this? Why is this 2 separate things? Again, text bloat. You could just say he's going to give energy to all of his allies. You could simplify it, cut 2 lines into 1. I know you would lose some of that wonderful synergy, but I think it would be worth it to have this be a little simpler, and then just make it generic to all allies. I know they're like, we need to have the theming, we need to have Avengers here, but who cares? And then in raids, he gives more energy to Rebirth allies. Now we have his ultimate, which I think is awesome. I think it's one of the best ultimates in the game, not in terms of gameplay, but in terms of thematics. You know, a lot of characters' ultimates, they just kind of thrash around the screen, you know, like Lizard or Iron Man. They just kind of like throw out tons of stuff. I think Captain America has a really good ultimate where it's exactly what you think about when you think about Captain America. Like, what is Captain America's big move? He throws his shield, and that is what he does in Marvel Strike Force for his ultimate. So it does okay damage. That's not why you use it, but really what's quite intriguing about this is it clears positive effects from enemies. So this is very handy. It'll clear taunt, clear defense up, all kinds of stuff. It gives Captain America a lot of utility. I'm a really big fan of this ultimate, and I think, again, it is conceptually very simple, like most of his kit, but look at all this text. Like, you're reading all this, it's like, oh my gosh, this must be such a complicated ultimate. Like, cut out these bottom 3 bullet points. Really, the only thing that matters is you're clearing positive effects from enemies, and then it's chaining around. As you can see, lots of different thematic stuff here, where Wave 1 Avenger, Rebirth, are Out of Time. He fills his speed bar. Rebirth are Out of Time, so no Wave 1 Avengers for this one. So you can see like the order of reworks. So like Wave 1 Avengers did not get this new rework. That's only for the future reworks. So they kind of cut out Wave 1 Avenger because that's too old. So really confusing. That's what we see a lot throughout Captain America's kit. So we're going to circle back to that. Here you can see my chart for Captain America. So this summarizes a lot of the stuff I was saying. This is when I actually rank out all these skills with numbers. I think generally basic attack, really good. I think the special, really good. I think the ultimate's really good. I think the passive is really good. I think gameplay wise, all of these are there. Where they lose people, I think, is with the coherence. There are so many lines to these skills that makes them seem way more complicated than they actually are. Captain America loses a ton of points throughout his entire character, and really it's just because of this kit. I think, honestly, what Captain America needs is a kit cleanup. I think he can just be Avengers. Like, there are tons of Avengers in Marvel Strike Force, and his kit's not like that good, where like if he could help out more people, it wouldn't break the game, in my opinion. But it would make sense that like the leader of the Marvel universe, like Captain America, like the most leader character of all characters, that he leads all the Avengers. It's crazy that he's like, unless you're from a different timeline, or you were reborn, or you're in the first Avengers movie. Otherwise, I don't care about you. So it's just really confusing for new players. And I think if they cut those 3 tags and then just said Avengers, everywhere it says Out of Time, Rebirth, or Wave 1, just say Avengers and then cut it down. I think that would be way more comprehensible whenever you're reading his kit. And I think for new players who are going to be looking toward Captain America, this makes him easier to understand. Again, Captain America and Iron Man, Black Widow, like these are some of the first characters somebody's going to look at when they come to the game. And we want these kits to be easy to understand. And right now, I do not feel Captain America's kit is that, at least when you read it. So he gets a lot of points for having a simple kit, but then he loses points for when you actually have to read his kit. Another thing he gains some points for is he does evolve to the meta. As I spoke about in this video, he has continued to keep up. I think they actually said in like an interview, he will keep up with the game. Like they're always going to keep reworking him. He's kind of an evergreen character. So that is very interesting. He gets some points for that. That's good. You know, the rest of the Avengers, do they get the same treatment? I don't know. But there's a lot of constant. His abilities are cluttered. That Wave 1 tag is horrible. There's really no shield synergy. That's an important part of Captain America's character. This whole shield aspect, like where is that right here? He has the shield trait, but he doesn't mention it. He could just be, there's not really a shield team anyways to throw him on, but I really wish we got to see more of that shield or military side. Like where is this military stuff? There is like no mention of Captain America participating in previous events. There's no synergy with like Punisher or something like that, or War Machine, or Captain Marvel, like a military team. Kind of interesting right there. They threw that military tag in the game. They don't do anything with it. So it's kind of weird. That's an important part of Captain America's trait. With him, it's a little bit more understandable because there is World War II Captain America in the game, and he is focused on the war. So that is like the war Captain America. So it's like a little bit understandable that this Captain America doesn't work well with the military characters, but I still would love to see some synergy for that. Right now, it's just there in his tag. So I guess if you were going to make a military team for giggles, you could do that. Overall, he's going to get a B-. So, you know, not bad. Captain America would have passed the class. Really, what do I think's in the future for Captain America? I think first off, we got to have broader Avengers synergy. We just need that. There does not need to be this Wave 1, Out of Time, and Rebirth tag clutter within his kit. I think it's just too much. He needs to be simplified to the standard Avengers, especially because he is like one of the main characters of the game, one of the first characters a lot of people play with, and he's in a really good state where he is good, but he's not like that good where if him being on other teams would actually make him too strong. Something else I think is kind of interesting is I do expect to see an Infinity War Captain America someday. What team would he go on? I don't know. You know, these devs can get crafty with the tags. But I think considering we have an Infinity War Thor and an Infinity War Iron Man, and they have call-outs to each other, I do kind of expect an Infinity War to Captain America at some point, and maybe they'll do like an Infinity War trio, considering how iconic they are. And I think it'd be kind of cool if there's a Captain America team, because at that point we would have World War II Captain America, the original Captain America, and then we'd have Infinity War Captain America, and you could easily put in like Sam Wilson Captain America there, and then like maybe US Agent if you really wanted to, or something like that, or you could put Captain Carter in there and we could do like the Captain America team. I think that'd be a lot of fun, just something kind of cute that they could do in the future. But I think Captain America has a very strong future. He will continue to be relevant in the game, and while I do like his kit, he really should take some time to simplify him a bit. So that was my review of Captain America for Marvel Strike Force in the year 2024. He was actually like my most used character on that rewind they sent out. So again, Captain America has gotten some use from me while I played this game, but lots of room to grow for him. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be back with another review. I think every week we're going to try to do something a little more fun and then something kind of more serious, like this character review. Next up will be Tigra, but if there are any characters you'd really like me to delve into, please leave a comment down below, because after Tigra, we'll see what we want to do next. I really actually like the Captain America Sam Wilson because it ties in really interestingly to this kit. But at the end of the day, what do I know? I am only a 22-year-old. Y'all have a nice day. Bye, everyone.